Today, I want to talk about the escalating tension between India and Pakistan. Yes, we are going into one of those aggressive phases, and yes, India has been provoked. Historically, I've just noticed that India does not do aggression, India does retaliation. This has been so ever since India's independence. We never go into any other country and decide to attack them, no matter what their size is or what their history is. But we never leave any aggression unanswered. But yeah, it is just Taurus as an ascendant, the moon is in Cancer. Now, Taurus is Venus rule, stable and defensive. The moon in Cancer, actually in Pushya or Pushyami Nakshatra, is Saturn root discipline. India's seventh house, the house of war and foreign relations, is Scorpio. It's ruled by Mars and indicates a potential for aggression when provoked. The sixth house is the house of enemies. It's Libra, ruled by Venus, suggesting diplomatic efforts, but it doesn't avoid conflict when provoked. The third house is the house of neighbors. That is Cancer with Mars and Saturn, which highlights tension, enmity even, with neighboring nations. Our current dasha is the moon Mercury Bhakti until 9 September. Then it transitions into Mars Mahadasha. That's 7 years of really militant tendencies. The key transits as on May 2025 is Mars in Gemini, second house. That aspects sixth and third houses, heightening border tension. Saturn is in Pisces, 11th house. This aspects sixth. Sixth is the house of enemies. This promotes restraint and alliances. And Jupiter is in Taurus, first house. This strengthens national resolve. Now, as on the first reading of this chart, it seems that India is not going to take any action. But then let's look at Pakistan's chart. Pakistan's ascendant is Aries, it is Mars ruled, impulsive and aggressive. The moon is in Gemini, Ardhara Nakshatra. That is Rahu ruled, which makes it chaotic, unpredictable. Rahu is amplifier. It amplifies every negative tendency. Seventh house, the house of war and foreign relations, is Libra, ruled by Venus. This indicates diplomacy, but can get pressured in conflicts. The sixth house, the house of enemies, is Virgo, ruled by Mercury, suggesting strategic but weakened defenses. Third house, the house of neighbors, is Gemini with Moon, indicating provocative communication or action towards neighbors. The current dasha is Venus Saturn Bhukti, which is malefic and prone to economic and political instability. And the key planets for Pakistan are Mars in Cancer, fourth house, homeland, debilitated. Rahu in Taurus, this amplifies diplomatic and economic risk. Saturn is in Cancer. That is internal stress, internal tensions. Now, what I did was a synastry between India and Pakistan. For the synastry, I took the seventh house, then the sixth house, and the Rahu Ketu. axis. India's seventh house is Scorpio. This, when we put it against Pakistan's seventh house, which is Libra, India's Mars ruled seventh house suggests stronger war making capacity compared to Pakistan's Venus ruled seventh house, which leans towards diplomacy but can get pressurized also. India and Pakistan both have debilitated Mars in Cancer. But India's Mars gains strength via niche bug aspect from Jupiter. Pakistan's Mars is in the fourth house, which is weakened, debilitated, indicating internal security challenges over external aggression. Then let's see Pakistan's sixth house, Libra, and India's sixth house, which is Libra, and Pakistan's sixth house, which is Virgo. India's is a Venus ruled sixth house with natal Jupiter. This suggests a strategic control over enemies, whereas Pakistan's Mercury rules sixth house indicates tactical but inconsistent responses to threats. Now let's talk about the Rahu Ketu axis. I'd like to point out over here Rahu and Ketu are going to shift their axis to the Aquarius Leo houses on 18th of May. India's Rahu is in Taurus, first house, and it aligns with the Pakistan's Rahu, which is in second house, again in Taurus. Now, both of them, Rahu is chaos. Rahu is also, it's very grasping, it is very amplified. And over here, since it's Taurus, it amplifies mutual ambition and economic tensions for both these planets. When the Rahu Ketu transit happens in the Aquarius Leo axis, it activates India's 10th and 4th houses, which is government and homeland, and Pakistan's 11th and 5th houses, which is alliances and creativity. This suggests that both nations should focus on internal consolidation rather than initiating war. Now, the current transits Mars in Gemini. For India, Mars transits the second house, aspecting the third, neighbors, Cancer, and sixth, enemies, Libra, fueling tension with Pakistan, especially after the Pahalgam attack of 22nd April. For Pakistan, Mars transits the third house, Gemini, natal moon, aspecting the sixth, Virgo. This indicates provocative action or miscalculation, which could invite Indian retaliation. Saturn in Pisces is in India's 11th house. Saturn aspects the sixth, promoting defense strategy. In Pakistan's 12th house is losses and secrets. It aspects the sixth, weakening enemy handling capacity and increasing internal instability. Jupiter is in Taurus. This is in India's first house. Jupiter strengthens national resolve and diplomacy. In Pakistan's second house, it boosts economic hopes, but conflicts with natal Rahu. That causes some kind of an overreach. Now, we can't talk about wars, governments, etc., without considering Pluto retrograde, which starts from 4th May 2025. In sidereal astrology, outer planets like Pluto have less emphasis. But its retrograde in Capricorn, India's 9th house, Pakistan's 10th house, suggests transformative shifts in governance, in foreign policy. Not immediate war, but aggressive tendencies nevertheless. However, when India's Mars Mahadasha happens, that is 9th September 2025, this activates the 7th house, Scorpio. increasing military assertiveness. India's Taurus ascendant and Venusian influences will try to keep it in check. But then there is Pakistan to be taken into consideration. Pakistan's Venus Saturn Bhakti. Venus is the seventh lord, it's in Gemini, third house, and Saturn is in Cancer, fourth house. Indicates internal chaos, weakened defenses. This can trigger Pakistan, make it try to provoke via terrorism. Pakistan is never going to go for an all out war. They are going to what we call in Hindi Pangalina. They are going to try to provoke, try to uh, employ guerrilla tactics or terrorist tactics. The transit of Mars, that is May June 2025, aspects India's third house, Cancer, natal Mars, and Pakistan's sixth house, Virgo, suggesting border skirmishes or Indian strikes on terrorist camps in POK, but not a full scale war initiated by India. Historically, India shows reactive military actions. The Kargil War during Mars or Rahu Ketu, not unprovoked attack. Pakistan's chart with Rahu driven Ardra moon suggests provocations that trigger Indian response. We may conduct retaliatory action, strikes on terrorist camps in POK, particularly between May and August 25, driven by the Mars transit in Gemini. That is going to be true until the Mars Mahadasha happens in September. The periods of increased tension and escalation, I think, are of first of all the Mars Rahu Ketu activation. This is August 2025 to January 2026. Eclipses will be destabilizing the South Asia region, and that is where tensions are going to escalate. October 2025, with the solar eclipse occurring very close to India's third house, is also another flashpoint. November 2025 to January 2026. This is Mars transit into Scorpio Sagittarius. Historically, military action happens during a Scorpio Sagittarius, Mars transiting Scorpio Sagittarius. Now, April 2026, this is when Mars transits Taurus. There is a possible continuation of tensions. I also checked out Modi ji's chart as well as the synastry between India's Pushyami and Pakistan's Ardra. Now, this is a karmic cycle. Pushyami versus Ardra. It is order versus chaos. India's Pushyami wants to maintain stability, whereas Pakistan's Rahu driven Ardra wants to take risks. And Modi ji's nakshatra is Anuradha. That is also Saturn root. So is Pushyami. So Modi ji's leadership aligns with India's national psyche, emphasizing duty, restraint, and long-term vision. This synergy suggests Modi's decision will reflect more on India's karmic role as protector, not an aggressor. However, Modi's Anuradha, when seen versus Pakistan's Ardra, the karmic lesson is to avoid being drawn into the Ardra chaos, to maintain Saturn discipline. I don't know how far he will succeed because intuitively I have a feeling that beyond the retaliatory stage. Initially, India will try to show restraint. Perhaps it will try to satisfy itself by responding to the Pahalgam aggression with a surgical strike on POK where there are terrorist camps. But intuitive sense that things have already been set into motion. There are factions that want aggression. There are factions that really want to burn the world, literally. There is a chain of events that has already been started, and it is going to culminate in one unforgivable event of brutality, which is going to cause another attack. So I see two attacks coming. One is some kind of a surgical strike, which is going to be restraint, discipline, but then the other might be emotional. There will be provocation and it will lead to a very strong reaction. And this may happen around the eclipses. Thank you for joining me. Like this video if it resonated with you. Please like and share, subscribe. It really helps this channel. And press the bell icon so that we can meet again. Namaste.